What's up, my beautiful people? Exile451 here with another daily dose of Reddit Hope and Happy, and today we're going into r/AskReddit to have some laughs about kids and the weird things they do, including pooping in a public park. So, let's get to it. Not a parent, but when I was a kid, I used to prefer to poop in the park closest to my house instead of at home. I used to wonder who cleaned up my poop every day because it was always gone by the next day. After months of doing this, I found out a neighbor mom was the one who kept cleaning it up. I was mid-poop one sunny afternoon when I saw her walking towards the park from her condo across the road with a baggie, probably because she had a chore every day that included going to the park to clean up my mess before her children could go play. I was squatted atop the playground in one of those wooden cubicles at the top of a slide, peering out through a crack between the wooden pillars, watching the neighbor mom coming closer, trying to finish at a rapid pace. I finished, didn't wipe, because I was a disgusting child and pooping in a park, yanked my pants up and flew down the slide and booked it through the field to home base. Raced through the door and continued to live my best life until there was a knock at the door. My mom answered the door, and to my horror, there was neighbor lady, and she and my mom had a long talk outside on the front step. When my mom came in, she looked at me with pure disgust and said, "No more pooping at the park!" My older brother's friends were over and overheard my mom scream that at me. They demanded to know the whole story. Then, when I started kindergarten, one of the children of the poop picker-upper neighbor mom was in a grade ahead of me and recognized me and told everyone what I had done. I was and always will be the park pooper. Edit, I did not have a very good childhood. I should definitely clarify that. I have no explanation other than I was probably neglected. I'm honestly shocked at how this blew up. Thought I was just telling my poop story. To those wondering, it happened in the 90s. Thank you for the awards. My gosh. Okay. Oh. Thank you. I don't have any other words, but thank you. And right on the heels of that one, we caught my sons, maybe 6 and 3 at the time, both sitting on the toilet together, one behind the other, pooping. They told us it was a double poop. We forbid them from ever doing that again. Is that a thing? Did other people do that? Because actually scrolling through the comments of this one, I saw a lot of people saying that they did that with cousins and siblings and whatnot. I mean, I only had a sister until the second litter, but, yeah. What else? I saw my kid, who was 4, in the backyard looking for bugs or worms. He grabbed something and put it in his mouth. I asked him about it a few minutes later. He said he ate a worm. I laughed and asked why. He said he wanted to know what it tasted like. So I asked, what did it taste like? He said it tasted like mud. The next day I asked him if he really ate a worm. He replied, "Yeah," in the most defeated and embarrassed way any human could. You live and you learn. Follow up on that one. I kept finding dead worms in my kid's pockets while doing laundry. Then I noticed that while I had him help me in the garden, he would pick the worms up, kiss them, and put them in his pocket. He told me he does this because he loves them. I convinced them that the worms are happier in the ground, and he has started putting them back on the ground after kissing them. Kids. When my daughter was little, old ladies would come over and enthusiastically ask her simple questions like, "What's your name?" And she would always reply in flat monotone, "Birthday cake." Then they'd ask another question like, "Oh, well, how old are you?" And she'd say, "Birthday cake." They would look over at us with great concern. So annoying. I went through a phase where if the house phone rang, I would race to it, answer it, and shout, "Hello, this is Lollipop." Then I started to tell anyone on the street or in a store that my name was Lollipop. My mom got so tired of explaining to strangers that no, my birth name was not actually Lollipop. I did something like this when I was a kid. So when I was like 3 or 4-ish, something like that, a friend of mine at the time had this big pirate-themed birthday party, and I refused for like a month before and after to go by anything other than pirate and then my actual name, which I'm not going to give you guys. Love y'all, but yeah, I'm keeping that private for now. Anywho, and it got to the point where, like, when this kid wrote a thank you card for the gift that we'd gotten him, and I don't even remember what it was, but, you know, obviously, this was a long time ago. His mom started off with, like, dear name. Oh, I'm sorry, or should I say pirate name? And it drove my mom crazy. Because, like, even at church, I'd be like that. Oh. I'd completely forgotten about that until just now. When I was about 4, there was this after-school church activity group I went to. Apparently, when the teacher asked my name, she asked, "What do your parents call you?" And I very proudly answered, "Stinky Butt." My dad thought this was hilarious, being the originator of the Stinky Butt name, and my mother was mortified. If she'd asked my name, I would have told her. But that isn't what she asked, and I was a very literal child. That is well done. When my son was 3 years old, we noticed the smell of burnt plastic coming from our heater vents. I called one of our friends that worked in heating and cooling, and he came over. Our furnace was in our crawl space, so he went down. About 15 minutes later, he asked me to hand him 3 black garbage bags through one of the vents, so I did so. He came up later with 3 bags of plastic toys. I had wondered where all my son's toys were going. I asked my son why he was putting toys down the vents. He said, "Mommy, there are alligators down there, and if I don't feed them my toys, they will eat my sister." Aww. That's funny, but that's also just really cute. Caught my 2-year-old son licking the floor. He seemed really into it. My 5-year-old nephew went to feed the chickens yesterday. I told him to get a hat. He came back fully naked with gumboots and a straw hat on. Apparently, the last time he went to the chicken house, they pecked at his junk, and he wants to show them that it's not big enough to eat yet? Kids are weird. There's a long list of things that you should never do naked as a guy. Walking into a chicken coop is definitely up there. Right alongside rolling around in broken glass and covering yourself in lemon juice. I mean, that's just asking for trouble. Kids are weird. My youngest daughter was about 18 months old. She had, about a week before, discovered how to climb out of her own crib. Also, about a month before, she had once taken off her own diaper. Not a repeat event, but a one-time thing. My mother-in-law was visiting us, and we were all slow to wake up. Around 7:30, the baby monitor alerted me that my daughter was awake, but happy and content in her crib. I let my wife sleep in, and I grabbed a quick 5-minute shower before going to grab her. When I got there, she had put the 2 pieces, climb out of the crib and take off diaper, together, and used them to repaint her room. I will never recover from the trauma of that smell. I really hope you repainted that room. I woke up to my 5-year-old spraying Windex on the window beside my bed, cleaning it thoroughly, then nodding at me and moving on to cleaning the windows in the next room. I still don't know what the heck was happening. Edit, she told me before bed that it needed to be cleaned so her cat could look out. The bottom of the windows get smeared because the cats push their faces against it, so she wanted it clean for them. Aw, that's so heartwarming and cute. Just the other day, I saw my 3-year-old head to the bathroom and I hear splashing. In a light panic, I run to the bathroom thinking I'm going to have to figure out how to get a plumber during quarantine. I walked in and he's just standing in front of the toilet, plunging away absolutely correctly, with his Hot Wheels on the floor and not in the toilet. Dang kid refuses to use the toilet, but he's more than happy to plunge it of his own accord. My mom caught me bringing eggs from the kitchen into my room and sitting on them in a blanket nest, hoping they'd hatch. What she didn't catch was that I'd been doing this for a while and would put the eggs back into the fridge when they wouldn't hatch after a few days. I mean, I get it. You know, kids don't quite understand the concept of there are unfertilized eggs out there. They just think, oh, this is where chickens come from. But it's still funny. My brother decided he wanted a pee hat, which is literally what it sounds like. A hat he could pee in during the night. While already a stupid idea, since my brother didn't empty it, he chose a plastic hat with a hole in it. And it was a toy construction hat with 2 to 4 holes in the top, meaning his makeshift toilet had 2 to 4 holes for the pee to leak from. And he was keeping it in his toy box. Oh. Oh, that's, Your poor parents. I mean, how do you recover those toys? How do you get that smell out of them? Follow up on that. When I was younger, I decided that it would be so cool if I didn't have a separate room to do my business. So, being the genius I was, I designated a towel in the corner of my room as my pee towel. This was in my room for easily an entire week. Needless to say, it smelled disgusting. At one point, my mom came in and questioned the smell, and I shrugged it off, saying, "It was probably the dog," and left it at that. What baffles me the most, however, is that even when I was in a part of the house that was closest to the bathroom, I would go out of my way to use my pee towel. I think my parents still have that towel, actually. Okay, so this reminds me of something else, and I know I'm just full of random stories, but this is my channel, so deal with it, I guess. Love you all for being here, by the way. So I'm gonna open up a little bit about my family life here. I have quadruplet siblings that are a fair number of years younger than I am. So basically, my parents had 2 sets of kids, which is why I refer to them as the second litter. Anywho, the oldest boy in that group, and it was girl, boy, boy, girl, for anyone asking, and if you have questions, post in the comments. The oldest boy in that group decided that instead of going to the bathroom like a civilized person, anytime he needed to pee, he would just walk out to the backyard and just let go, let loose. And not just, open his fly and do it. No, he'd pull his pants all the way down. So he's standing there naked from the waist down, just doing his stuff. And then when he'd be done, he'd pull him back up and walk inside like nothing had happened. And I've seen him do this. There would literally be a bathroom like 5 feet to his left. He would walk probably about 20 feet into the backyard to go do this against the neighbor's fence. It was the weirdest thing. And what made it even weirder was that he was doing this up into his teenage years. In fact, it was when he was a teen that he'd be pulling his pants down. He didn't do that as a kid. It was the weirdest thing, and we'd constantly tell him, like, you need to stop this. And he wouldn't. I mean, I love him to death, but my goodness, he's, how he got married last year, I still do not know. But, whatevs. He's a weird kid. I tried to teach my friend's 4-year-old that obnoxious joke about "Aren't you glad I didn't say banana?" because I'm that adopted auntie. But somehow, she ended up arriving at "Knock knock." Me, who's there? "Orange in the bathroom!" Followed by hysterical giggles. That is an odd one to come to. Packing peas from our garden up her nose. This required a trip to the local hospital emergency room, where the doctor, a dad of several young children himself, thought it was hilariously funny. Soon, my wife and I were laughing as well. Hey, better peas than something like, I don't know, maple syrup, which... Yeah, kids, if someone dares you to snort maple syrup at 4 a.m, don't do it. Just please don't do it. You're not missing anything. You will not regret it. This is not something you will look back when you're 80 years old and be like, I wish I'd snorted maple syrup. No, don't do it. Bad idea. Follow up on that one though. When my little brother was 3, he's 25 now, he stuck an M&M up his nose. The doctors said to just let it melt. The babysitter was quite concerned when red and then brown started dripping out of his nose. For a while, our family joked that M&Ms melt in your nose, not in your hand. The M&M slogan at the time was melt in your mouth, not in your hand. I can only imagine what that babysitter would have been feeling at your house and just seeing your brother's nose leaking red and brown and being like, what is going on? Oh gosh, that must have freaked the crap out of her. More funny or uplifting AskReddit content is here on the playlist on your left, or if you want to see the video YouTube thought would be best for you, hit the button on the right. Now you guys stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside if you're supposed to. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.